Hey, how's it going? So I know in college, especially if you're a newer student, there can be so many different online resources to keep track of. So in this video, I want to shed light on some of the more important online resources in my opinion, as well as some other resources that you may have not heard of before. I'll include the links for all these resources in the description below. So the first site is called 25 Live. And this site essentially shows you the availability of different classrooms on campus, which is pretty useful in the cases where you have a break between two classes, so you'd like a quiet place to get some work done, or even take an interview if you're in a rush. So on 25 Live, you can search for the exact availability of different classrooms and then find a classroom where you can actually get your work done or crush that interview. Speaking of interviews, the second site is actually hosted by Career Services at Cal Poly, and it's a place where you can book these really nice interview rooms on campus for allotted periods of time. The next online resource I'll recommend is Discord, and specifically I'd recommend joining the Discord servers for your class as well as your major. The next resource I'll mention is the Cal Poly Reddit, which you're likely familiar with, but just in case, it's a place where you can ask other Cal Poly students about pretty much anything you're curious about that's Cal Poly related. Personally, I like to ask about professors for upcoming classes that I'm interested in taking. On the note of professors, at Cal Poly we have Poly Ratings, which is basically our version of Rate My Professors, and here you can see detailed reviews from students for different professors. There does seem to be lots of different versions of Poly Ratings, so in the description, I believe there's two current updated versions of Poly Ratings, and I'll keep the links to those in the description. The sixth site I'll mention is Handshake. Handshake is an employment site for students that you'll definitely run into a few times during your stay at Cal Poly. And you'll use Handshake for things like signing up for career fairs, one-on-one talks with recruiters and interviewers, as well as for actually looking for internship postings for students. And the nice thing is a lot of these internship postings will be sort of customized based on your major and geared towards employers that tend to recruit from Cal Poly as well. Next, I would recommend joining a few useful Cal Poly related Facebook groups. I think for most students, the most useful groups tend to be the rideshare focused ones where you can get a ride from a student to go back home, as well as the housing related groups where you can both look for housing from other students as well as list your own subleases. The final two resources I'll mention are subscriptions to sites that you get by just being a Cal Poly student. The first one is LinkedIn Learning, which if you're not familiar is an online learning / skills site, and you can access this through your student portal. And then the second subscription service is to Wall Street Journal.